This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. We've got news. Not all of it's good, but the fact of the matter is we're still on the right side of the grass. So in my book, we're doing okay. We're coming at you from the McAllen Creative Incubator, 97.7 KCYP, The City, out of McAllen, Texas. We're also going out on YouTube. We're going out on Facebook, both the 97.7 Facebook and YouTube, and the Bitcoin Otter and Christopher Ott, Facebook and YouTube. We are glad. We are glad for all of you that are in listening distance, and we are very happy to present to you something that you might not see in every other place. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that not only are we going to present a situation, we're going to present a potentiality, but we're going to give you a little bit of inside info that not everybody has. And that's something that is very valuable because we all know that knowledge is power. Now, how can we use this knowledge? What power might be conveyed with this knowledge? Well, I'll tell you what, staying power. Yes, staying power. Ladies and gentlemen, we must all remember that no matter how bad the times are, God is still with us. That's number one. Number one, the King of Kings will be with us no matter what. These these worldly troubles and all this strife that may not be coming to you and your family, to you and your home. However, our brothers and sisters are in, I won't say some are in dire straits. If you're a Christian in Syria, you're not loving life if you even have one anymore. So I guess we could always put it into perspective. But what I'd like to do today is not only to point out some things that you might not know because you're busy. You're busy. We don't all have the opportunity to get all of the news, myself included. And we certainly can't get any news that is viable at all if we watch TV or read a newspaper. That is, again, I'll reiterate this. It's kind of like, getting your water from a sewer, right? It's the last possible repository for the worst waste that this earth has prior to it being recycled through the environment. So that is what TV is. That is what the mainstream media is. And that is what newspapers are, the last and worst place to get your information. It's mental crack, if you will, and it doesn't do anyone any good. So maybe stay off the crack pipe of TV or perhaps even newspapers or some sort of mainstream media, because one thing I can tell you is that it is not healthy and it's not going to do you any good when you're trying to find truth. Now, I'm not going to brag and I'm not going to say that my information is the end all to beat all, but what I will tell you is this. I vet this information as best I can, and I won't give you an opinion that will put you or your family into a bind. Meaning, I'm not going to tell you to go out in the streets and burn down your buildings in your community like Trans-Tifa and BLM did. I'm not going to do those things, okay? I won't go that way. You know me, everything is nonviolent. And one of the biggest reasons why everything that we have going on right now for us as people who are Americans, we the people that are the salt of the earth, and at the very least here in the United States of America, why are we this way? Why are we nonviolent? Because as I'm going to get into in a little while, hey, Sue, good to see you. As I'm going to get into in a little while, we have strong men and women at our backs. Not only are they strong, but as the meeting occurred this week with the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and our president that we, by a landslide, voted for, Donald Trump, have told the people of the United States that they have the back of the military. They have, and the military has our back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get into this, but first, we're going to go through for a few things. So what we have is Bitcoin on the move again. $120,000, 376. Okay, so it's going to take you that many Federal Reserve notes, which are getting more and more worthless every day, to get a Bitcoin. Silver, ladies and gentlemen, is on the move. what many people have called the dollar days is now here. So it's moving up roughly $1 a day. It is now $47.13 for 1 ounce of silver. Ladies and gentlemen, your grandma, your grandpa might have some of those silver dollars laying around. Do not let them throw them out. Gold, $3,864 an ounce. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming close to the $4,000 mark on gold. And is that because gold has changed its value? No, it's because the rigging mechanism, the usual suspects, the Federal Reserve, have strapped our precious metals markets with is breaking. Okay. The ability they have to keep it low is breaking at speed, a pace, if you will. Average mortgage rate, 30-year rate, is coming down a little bit, but, too late Powell is still working at that angle that says if we could keep things rough for the American people just long enough, they're going to turn on these conservatives. They're going to turn on these people that want to keep their money. And we'll get into that a little bit with Ms. Joy Reid, too. And the 15-year rate, not much better, 5.64% for a 15-year locked-in rate at your not-so-friendly neighborhood Federal Reserve branch. Now, as we go into this, we're always going to remember exactly who it is that has our ultimate back for, let's just say, eternity, because that's the way it is. Our God is a great God. Our God is a powerful God. He's not going to abandon us, and he's always going to give us one of the most valuable things in this world, much more so than money, Bitcoin, or whatever you want to call it. It's hope. It's hope. We have hope because our God is the winner, not only in the end, but throughout all of eternity. Now, I want to read you something from Proverbs 24. So it goes from 3 to 7. By wisdom, a house is built, and through understanding, it is established. Through knowledge, its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. The wise prevail through great power, and those who have knowledge muster their strength. Surely you need guidance to wage war, and victory is won through many advisors. Wisdom is too high for fools. In the assembly at the gate, they must not open their mouths. I'm going to go into this, and now I want to let you guys know and remind you, I guess, that yes, the Bitcoin Otter Show is most definitely a ministry. Bitcoin Otter Private Membership Association is a nonprofit ministry organization. A faith in God is what I established the Private Membership Association as a an organization, an association. We have all the IRS stuff, my EIN, all of that for the Bitcoin Otter Private Membership Association, of which you may be a part. Now, I'm not going to break this down as a preacher, and I'm not going to preach to you, but I want to show you how deep God's words go, and I don't even think I'm going to scratch the surface. So as I'm going through this, I just want to read it quickly and tell you where we might be on this scale, because not only is God's word great, but it is eternal and works in every generation. So by wisdom, a house is built, and through understanding, it is established. We all hopefully have a home. It doesn't mean that you're a homeowner, because in America, what does homeowner mean? Nothing. What are you talking about, Otter? Homeowning means nothing. Are you kidding? I'm a homeowner. No, you're not. And what do I mean by that? You may have even paid off your mortgage, but you're not the owner of that home. How is that, Otter? Because if you don't pay your taxes, they're going to steal your home. So in reality, is it yours? Or are you renting it from the government? Chew on that a little bit. Verse 4, through knowledge, its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasure. In houses are rooms, right? And there are different purposes for each room. We have a kitchen, we have a living room, we have perhaps a dining room, and we have bedrooms. Different purposes for each room. And through knowledge, okay, we're going to be able to fill it with rare and beautiful treasures. A meal is filling the kitchen with rare and beautiful treasures. If you're a good cook, or your wife or your husband is a good cook, you've got these rare and beautiful treasures coming out of your kitchen. They're not going to come out of your bathroom. I hope these rare and beautiful treasures, none of those come out of your bathroom. I hope. And the wise prevail through great power, and those who have knowledge muster their strength. So the wise prevail through great power. Now you can look at this a few different ways. Is that great power knowledge? Because knowledge is power, right? The wise, wisdom is power. Wisdom is part of knowledge, not completely the same. But if you are wise, you prevail because you have great power in the knowledge that you possess. Or, and I'm going to twist this real quick. Could it be that if there is a great power that is evil and this great power is oppressing you, that through wisdom you can prevail through it? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. The power that we are wrestling against is almost, but not quite, eternal. Meaning it is a creation. Our enemy, his name is Satan, Satanas, if you're one of our Spanish-speaking friends. And he is our enemy. He is not eternal. And a mistake we could make is perhaps saying that our enemy is at an equal to our king, Jesus. It's not even close. Okay, our enemy is much, much more powerful than us, but at the name of Jesus Christ, he must flee. And one day he will go to his demise. That said, Barry, good to see you, Barry. Glad you could make it. I'm going to hopefully get some of your comments here on where I'm going to go. But right now I'm explaining that we are in a battle and that God, above all, literally above all, has our backs. So those who have knowledge muster their strength. If you don't have knowledge and you're watching TV, you're reading a newspaper, perhaps you're going to go to some sort of guru to figure out what it is that you need to do to strengthen yourself, to invigorate your life, your family's life. You're not going to find it. But those who have knowledge muster their strength. So if you don't have the knowledge, there's a great book. It's called the Bible. Yeah, because it has all the knowledge we literally need before we leave this earth. So some people use the, I guess it's called an acronym, the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth. Okay. Melina, we've got a great intern behind the computer today. She's nodding as we say this because she knows this as a fact, apparently, and that is good. Now, she's running the show today. You know, Joe is just making sure everything goes copacetic. If you have comments, hopefully they're going to pop up on the overall thing. And I've got one, Bitcoin Otter, and two, Christopher Ott, Facebooks, and hopefully YouTube will show up. Now, all that being said, surely you need guidance to wage war. And victory is won through many advisors. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no lack of advisors. But let us hope that these advisors we listen to, they're wise. And then this last one, wisdom is too high for fools. In the assembly at the gate, they must not open their mouths. Ladies and gentlemen, in the old days, assembly at the gate meant that when visitors came, merchants came, perhaps envoys from different nations would come to the gates. You don't want a fool talking to these people. You don't want an nincompoop like, people who are on TV shows. You don't want those type of people at the gate. You want the wise guy. You want the wise man. You want the person who has the knowledge of how the city works and how to protect it from enemies without and within. Anyway, if you would like to know more information on that, please email me, bitcoinotter@secure.com. Anyway, here we go. It's approximately 6:17 Central Time. We are not halfway yet. So hopefully it sank in where I'm going. And please, Proverbs 24 verses 3-7 is worthy, way, way more worthy than movies, video games, and TV of your time. Check it out. This is from PBS. Okay. And I want to remind you all that we had a very big junta with, Barry says, amen. Thank you, sir. Hopefully we're on the right track with this. PBS, and I'm using PBS for a reason, because there's a viewpoint they have that they are paid to have, and their owners want them to have it. So their headline is Trump, Hegseth address rare gathering of U.S. military leaders from around the world. They are, I guess you could say, reporting truth in some fashion. And the truth that they are reporting is this, that it is a rare gathering of the U.S. military leaders. Well, how is that? More than 800 general officers, meaning generals, were called from around the world, their commands around the world, various commands, various disciplines, to come to one place here in America to be addressed by the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and even more so by the executive office, the commander of all military forces, Donald Trump. Okay. A lot was covered in that meeting, as you can imagine, and a lot was not covered that I'm going to try and help everyone understand. Not because I'm smarter than you, but because I might be looking in places for information that you don't look for, and perhaps I do interpret it in different ways than you. So President Donald Trump, this is again PBS, so you know where we're going with this. President Donald Trump revealed that he wants to use American cities as training grounds for the armed forces and joint defense secretary. Okay, it's no longer defense. Okay, PBS, it is not the Secretary of Defense. Why do I say that? Because criminals like George Bush, warmongers like George Bush, Dick Cheney, those kind of people, they use the auspices of the Department of Defense, which is no more. They use the auspices of defense of liberty. They use the auspices of defense of the American way. All lies. All raw lies. Our armed forces, our young, strong men and women, and I'm sorry if you're a veteran out there and you served in war, you served in combat for our great United States. I apologize for the misunderstanding, if there is one. But I would bet that most of you, when you went and you fought for the people beside you. I think you knew at some level that it wasn't the liberty of someone in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, California. I think you knew that innately if you're a thinker, and I know most of you are. So if you're a veteran that did serve in combat, I am not coming against you, and I'm not undermining your efforts, your deeds, which were, valorous. I'm not doing any of that. But what I'm saying is our leaders sent you into something that did not in any way defend our nation. They would claim it so. They would frame it in such a way. But remember, the way of modern warfare with the international criminal cartel, they're bankers, they're media moguls, they're everything. You can't call them just billionaires because they own the Federal Reserve, so you can't really number their wealth. Those people will send our young men and women into harm's way because they're never going to go and their kids are never going to go. Now, what I'm getting at is this. During these so-called wars, they called it defense. PBS still calls it defense because they're owned by the same people. So Secretary Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of War. Why was that changed? Why was the Defense Department changed to the War Department? Because when we go to war, we are not going to pussyfoot around, if you will. We are not going to play with our food. We are not going to pretend and lose American lives so that we can gain oil patches in other countries, so that we can punish people who want a sovereign currency. Can anyone say Gaddafi? For their people. We're not going to do that anymore because it's going to be obvious to all Americans that we're going to go to war. And our young, strong men and women are going to die there. Not for the defense of the American way. We've got that here. And to all who don't want to agree, stay in your own country. Do what you want to do there. We're going to do us. We're going to do America in America. And we're no longer going to pretend to defend it while killing families at funerals by drone strike. Hello, Obama, the most prolific droner in the world. Okay? We're not going to do that anymore because the American people are going to see right off the bat that it's an act of war. Why? Because it's coming from the Department of War, not defense. Now, PBS, doing their duty as a deep state arm, says that Donald Trump wants to use American cities as training grounds. In a way, they're right. Certainly not in the way they present this, but in a way, they're right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the edge, the precipice, if you will, of civil war. Why? Because the people who own the international criminal cartel, the international criminal bankers, they know what the template is for war. Who do you think started our first civil war? How do you think they did it? They balkanized the United States. that we're no longer united because they didn't want us united. They pit one against another for their own financial gain in hopes of permanently dividing the nation, conquering by division. It'll work. It'll work. It didn't work last time because we had patriots that defended against it. They come up with these, pre-loaded reasons to go to war. This last one, okay, in the 1800s, that was slavery, which is a horrible thing. But that wasn't the reason for the Civil War. If you study it without using academics, all these academics, these regurgitators, all they know is what the professor before them told them, and the professors that write the books for them to regurgitate in a multiple choice test. That's all they do. These professors profess. What they profess is not normally truth. It's an agenda. Okay? It is a way, a platform, a template to divide us. We're not going to let that happen anymore. So these training grounds are going to be the training grounds. Why? And this is why they're right. Because the people that own BLM, the people that fund Trans-Tifa, the people that fund, what was the other one? There was a few others. It's just crazy, these NGOs, right? They want to burn your cities. They fly these black-clad, masked, now they're gas masked, young individuals that have no clue, man. They have no clue. They just got off of mom's couch in the basement. Mom, where's the meatloaf? Right? They get these $100, maybe $1,000 checks a day. Who knows? And they go out and the bricks are going to be there in the city for them. They're going to have all kinds of stuff, signs, brand new signs provided to them via your stolen tax dollars, laundered through an NGO. Some goes to the politicians, the enemies within. And others go to pay for all this new stuff, man. Right? For all these enemies of the United States, the enemy within. And they're going to go burn your car dealerships. They're going to go throw Molotov cocktails through the salon where, some lady has worked her ass off for decades so that she could do your nails and your hair. They'll burn that stuff up in a second, man. They're not like us. We don't destroy our towns. We are patriots. Imagine if the original patriots, all right, those of the Paul Revere era, burned down their colonies, burned down their trading posts, burned down the church. They never did that. Our enemy did that. So when you see our cities on fire, it's our enemy doing it. Right? This whole crap about, it's mostly peaceful protests. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an act of war against you and me. And you know what? We don't have to go out there. We don't have to go out there. We don't have to exercise our beloved Second Amendment there. What do you got, Melina?
Barry said, I now question Washington and the cutting of the apple tree.
Very interesting. Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Please go on with that. Please elaborate. There are some of us that might not know exactly the tack you're taking. So in as short of a synopsis you can, let us know what perhaps the question you have about George Washington cutting the apple tree. Because remember, even the Bible, ladies and gentlemen, even God himself is not afraid of questioning. We as patriots should not ever be afraid of questioning because our founding fathers certainly weren't. Thank you, Barry. If you could just, I'm going to come right back to it as soon as you have it formulated because I want to know exactly what you're saying. I want to be on the same page if I think that what you're saying is what you're saying. And if not, that's fine too. Well, I'll let you have your say whether I agree with it or not. So our Second Amendment is sacred. The right to bear arms is not given to us by the government. It is given to us by God himself. Bestowed upon us, if you will. We will not need to do that. Why? Because the military is going to be there. Are they training? Oh, make no mistake, they are. They are going to get into what is called civil rebellion. Are you rebelling? Am I rebelling? No. It's the people that own the banks. It's the people that own the Wall Street casino. It's the people that own television. It's the people that own print news. It's the people that own the politicians and the bankers and the deep state. They're desperate, ladies and gentlemen. They need war now. They have to have it because too many of you are waking up. Too many of you now know that what's going on in our country, what's going on around the world is not right. And it doesn't help any hardworking individual of any country. It's not about countries anymore because all they want is a global, united government against you. So we're coming on the half hour. And as the great radio mogul Joe Martinez taught me, we're going to go back to station identification, which is 97.7 KCYP, the city out of McAllen, Texas. We're also on YouTube. We're on TuneIn Radio. It's an app. We're on Radio Garden. It's an app. All over the world, you can listen to stuff on these. They don't pay us. Maybe they should. We need to look into that, Joe. We need some sponsors. Maybe they should. Regardless, they don't. But I'm telling you where we're going out on. We're going out on Facebook, and we're going out on YouTube. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever it is, be it live now or in the future, riding around, not being able to watch, but most definitely listening. Thank you very much. We don't have a lot. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we are accustomed to having tens, sometimes hundreds of viewers and listeners. But make no mistake, Facebook is throttling us. We're not going to stop anyway. So going back to our PBS article, Pete Hegseth on Tuesday declared an end to woke culture before an unusual gathering of hundreds of top U.S. military officials who were abruptly summoned to Virginia from around the world. And then as I was reading this, PBS wanted me to donate. Ladies and gentlemen, they wanted a pint of blood from an American. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't donate to these communist organizations. It's just not good for anyone. Now, as you well know, there are many different acts of war, many different things that are deployed. And right now, the deployment is one of government shutdown. So the usual suspects are hoping that if they shut the government down for long enough, these National Guard troops, perhaps even DOD, they're not DOD, they're DOW, Department of War. These Department of War troops are going to get tired because they're not getting paid. They're, the National Guard's not getting paid. Border Patrol's not getting paid. Firemen, federal, whatever, FEMA, they're not getting paid. So maybe they'll just give up. Maybe they'll go away. It's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to happen. So, a clean bill passed and a clean continued resolution passed in the Congress, or rather the House, and it was blocked in the Senate because evil is everywhere, right? So they want a government shutdown. They're holding us ransom as Americans by saying they want, I think, $1 trillion, and they want illegal aliens to be. They want illegal aliens on I think Medicare. All that stuff that you and me have been paying in for many, many years. They want a part of it. They want illegal aliens who have come from different countries that have their own troubles, right? But at the same time, they can solve them in their own country. Let us solve our problems first, then we'll help you out. But we have a deep state in our country, and man, we're fighting it. So this woke culture that they speak of, that Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth is fighting, is the one that has combat troops in high heels. Yeah, man. If you want to, as a man, be a woman, do it, man. Woman, whatever you want to call yourself, do it. Do it. You be you. I served in the military. I fought for your right. Well, I didn't fight. I went. Thankfully, there wasn't a war at the time. But I stand even now today for your right as a man to be a woman, or as a woman to be a man. Whatever you want to do it. But not in the military. Not in the military. Okay? We all have moments or times or time frames in our life when we're confused individuals, and we don't need that in the military. Right? We don't need that in the military. You want to do what you want to do, you do it. You be you. Privacy, your own home, all that good stuff. Do it. I'm not condemning you. That's not my job. I'm not your judge. But what I will say is don't be in the military because we need strong people. Now, Pete Hegseth said it. If you're a woman and you can pass the physical ratings set for a warrior, all the power to you. Come on, sister. But if you're a woman that can't pass the push-ups, the runs, the sit-ups, all that, I'm sorry. There are other things you can do. Or if you're a weak man, let's not just stop at women. If you're a weak man, and there are weak men, I'm not saying that they're less valuable to America. I'm just saying that they're less valuable in our fighting forces. Perhaps you're a computer genius. Go for it, man. Perhaps we can see an invention of a war, an instrument of war that will bring peace through strength. I don't know. You have a role, absolutely, but not on the battlefield necessarily in the trenches. USA Today, another you know what they are, has this headline: Trump threatens demotions at military summit. Absolutely threats demotions. But if you're a man, if you have the things that beneath the belt that God gave you, and you want to go into combat with a dress, it's not going to work. Not going to work. Barry Songer says, how long have our leaders and educators been lying to us? Lord, don't let me be deceived anymore. Amen, Barry. Amen. I'm not going to pretend I'm the only one out here decrying what the liars of our system are taking us through, the lies, and the more lies. I can recommend to you, Barry, and maybe offline, I'll send you the link I have it for Rumble. There's a guy out there, his name's Mike King, and he has this this series. It's called it's something about the globalist and how it started and how it ends, and it's going to end real soon. But I'll send that to you, Barry. If you hit me up on a text or something, remind me of it so that I can get that to you. But the deception is wearing away. The drugs, the dope, whatever they're using to dull our minds is lessening. So we have Sue. Sue says, my question is, why can our government do their job? Why can't they? I would imagine you meant to say. If an average American couldn't meet such an imperative deadline, especially with the repercussions that the fallout from government shutdown, fallout from government shutdown, how do you think they would still be employed? Thank you. You're right. I mean, let's just say a corporation said, hey, we're going to have a shutdown that only has those of you that are productive working and you that are necessary to, get on the assembly line and send our product into the marketplace. You're going to work, but not for pay. Depending on how long this lasts, you won't be able to pay your bills. You won't be able to pay for your kids' education. You won't be able to pay for this, that, the other thing. Okay, Barry, thank you. His website is realnewsinhistory.com, I think. I think it's realnewsinhistory.com. Check me if I'm wrong. But, Sue, that's exactly right. Now, I have to say that when it comes to government employees, it is a different segment of America. We have to remember that because our government has bloated to such a degree that there is so much fat, there is so much waste in federal government that it must be trimmed. And that's what Doge was doing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be addressed by our executive office and our executive officer, President Donald Trump. So he's going to be looking at things that he can cut during this time. Yes. And the communists within our country, the ones that are against us, moving forward with any type of continued resolution or any type of funding of government patriots that can defend our country against their aggression. They are not going to back down. And the thing is that the ones that are really fat in government, they're hopefully going to be, put to better use in civilian positions. Now, if they're enemies of the state, not so much the state, but if they're enemies of we the people, well, then maybe hopefully they'll go to jail, maybe something like that, be held to account, perhaps, because there's a lot of our enemy in government. There really is. Enemy from within. Again, if you're wondering how this all happened, Yuri Bezmenov gave an interview. It's on YouTube in the early 1980s, telling us how the communists went about it and were going about it and now have gone about it, especially in fields like government and academia. Now, that being said, the Patriots are prevailing and we will win. So this is what USA Today says. President Trump threatened to fire top military officers who disagree with him. Now, that is absolutely true. Because if you disagree with Donald Trump, you're disagreeing with the majority of American voters. Maybe not the majority of illegal alien voters that voted, many of them did, or the majority of the dead voters that voted in the last election, because there were many of them too. And we know which side they voted for. However, they are definitely in contrast to what we want, which is a strong military and not a weak one, and not ones like, was it General Milley, I think? I don't know. Maybe you know, Joe, or anybody listening. Was it General Milley that said that he was going to alert China if we were going to have a first strike upon them? I think it's that's the kind of treason that I'm talking about. And they're shot through in the military with those people. So that's going to change. Now, I want to tell you something that USA won't tell you. PBS certainly won't tell you. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that is, yes, conspiracy theory, but it jives very well with how things are going. There is more than just a briefing as justifiable reason for bringing more than 800 general officers and their non-commissioned officers. If you're not a military person or never have been, then an NCO is a non-commissioned officer, meaning they're not quite commissioned as an officer, but they hold a lot of weight, especially with the enlisted personnel, which the vast majority of the military is enlisted. They don't have maybe they have an education, but they haven't parlayed it into a commission to be an officer. And if they don't have an education, uneducated people like me, okay, my shadow never darkened the door of any institution of higher learning unless there was a kegger. And I went to, a few times. Then I went to college, right? So there are people like me that are there. I'm not saying I'm smart, but many of them are very smart, and they went to this meeting too. Here's something that the media will never tell you. There are traitors among us in government. There are traitors among us in our community. There are traitors among us, and we were talking about some school districts that were embezzling earlier before the show. There are traitors among us that steal from us, they rob us, that hurt us, our communities and our children. There are also such in the military. But let me tell you something. Our technology, and if you think the Space Force is about, Klingons and Ferengis and the Empire versus the Resistance and spaceships and all that in outer space, I hate to disabuse you of that idea. But the real idea of the Space Force is this: full spectrum dominance of the orbit around the Earth. What does that mean? It means that all communications worldwide can be monitored by our Space Force. Foreign and domestic, enemy and friendly. Yes, it's surveillance. Yes, we don't like it. But if you want to avoid being surveilled, you're going to have to go out in the wilderness. Don't bring a cell phone and whisper in your friend's ear. And that's the only way, literally, the only way. And even then, maybe they got something. I don't know. But let me get into this. There are traitors within our military, and some of them are generals. When they came to America, we're in one facility. All of that data was harvested. Phones, computers, iPads, devices, all of their unique identifying addresses. I don't know if it was MAC address, whatever you want to call it. They were all logged. Whether these are official government devices or they're private devices, which if you are in the military, you're not your own. I know this because I signed 4 years away of my life. I put myself under the authority of, one, the government, and two, the people that were established above me in rank to give me orders, to include hey, Ott, go in there and die. That's good, bad, or indifferent. That's what the military is. So when you actually sign yourself up for the military, you have an expectation of, one, not being treasonous to the country for which the military serves. There is an expectation that the privacy that you have as a citizen can be retained, but as a military member is not even expected. You can't expect any privacy. Your superiors can come into your room, your dormitory, whatever you want to call it, or your barracks, and go through your stuff because it's government property. Now, maybe not your personal items, but the place where you're living is government property. And you know all this. Hopefully you know all this before you sign on. That being said, if we have rats in the military at that level, it is extremely dangerous to the Republic. If there are said rats, and they are also domestic enemies in nature, and they will be giving information of our very highly valued men and women in the military, so that the very low level base, slovenly, confused, mentally, and I'm going to use it, Joe, don't stop me, retarded people on the streets burning our communities. If in any way the generals are trying to prosecute war against the United States using this refuse in our streets to burn, murder, rape, and pillage, steal, then they will be brought to account, and the price of treason is, you know it is. I'm not going to say the word on Facebook, but it's ultimate. And now they're pushing digital ID, says Barry. Yeah, they are. I know. And there's a lot of misleading stuff too, Barry, so we're going to have to worry. Well, not worry. We're going to have to discern. We're going to have to, figure out the bottom of it. But yeah, they want digital ID certainly, because then they can basically know where you're at, what you're doing all day, every day. But here's the thing. If any of these traitors are in our midst, they're going to be found out by the Patriots. And maybe the end of them will be public. As an example, we'll see. Defense Secretary, and it is not USA Today, the Defense Secretary. It is the Department Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Can you see the narrative battle? The battle space, ladies and gentlemen. They own this space, but our brains will defeat them. Our knowledge will defeat them. With many advisors comes the victory. They are still calling it Department of Defense. We are not in that era anymore. The deep state has lost all claim. They are the Department of War. And that Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, told an audience of generals and admirals that the military had decayed. He announced new fitness and grooming standards. Wow. Are you saying that as a man, I can't wear nail polish into a conflict? Yeah, I am. Trump made a reference to a racial slur while discussing nuclear weapons. They got to throw the racist thing in there because they know Trump is not one of them. So they have to sully him. They have to throw mud at him. I call it the N-word, he said. There are two N-words and you can't use either of them. The one I can use on Facebook is called nuclear. That's one of the N-words that he was talking about. The president told an estimated 800 top military officials the armed forces should use dangerous American cities as training grounds. Absolutely. And why are they dangerous? Because they've been ruled by communists for generations. Can you say Chicago? Can you say St. Louis? Can you say Baltimore? Can you say San Francisco? Can you say Oakland? Can you say my ex-hometown of Buffalo, New York? Can you say Cleveland? If you can say all these things, just know who has been in control of them for generations. And why is it that they are literal, and I won't say it on Facebook, holes of fecal matter? Fecal matter is too good for some of those cities. Anyway, let me tell you something that I'm going to wrap up with. We're not quite 10 minutes away from the end of the show, but I want to let you know something, and I'm coming out with something that you can all benefit from. It's not something that I think Facebook is going to enjoy, and they might just cut us. There is a 17th letter of the alphabet. You figure out which one it is. That 17th letter of our alphabet was used as a demarcation title for a patriotic movement that is called a counterinsurgency. Our nation could never have been successfully invaded. Our nation could never have successfully been overtaken by an invasionary force, overtly and from the outside. Our nation had to be taken from the inside. Now, that being said, that was an insurgency. It occurred. 2020 was overthrown. Our election was overthrown. Our country was overthrown in 2020. 81 million votes was the mantra. No president in the United States, much less a brain dead one, had ever been elected with 81 million votes. It didn't happen. Barry says, evil people. I agree. They are ruled by globalists. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And they have been in operations since 1600s. They've gone through in 1700s. And that series by Mike King will explain all this to you. And you will, no matter how much you know about history, and I know you do, Barry, you will learn something from every episode, about 20 minutes each episode. You'll learn something each time. And what it is that you will really learn is that these globalists, these Kabbalists, okay, the usual suspects, the international criminal cartel, the Khazarian mafia, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the deep state, they have been killing our presidents and murdering prime ministers, murdering the monarchies around the world for hundreds of years. Behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, whatever way it works. They first go in and seize the financial system, and then they divide and conquer the people, and then they kill the leadership. I digress. We have counterinsurgents. These people are very smart. They're part of our military, and they give us intel drops. 17th letter once again. This is drop 4641 because there's more than 5,000 of these drops. They're trying to help us. Read them one of these days. The swamp runs deep. Sometimes you cannot tell the people the truth. You must show them. Only then, at the precipice, will people find the will to change, in brackets, to participate. That doesn't mean take up arms. That doesn't mean burn down cities with Trans-Tifa and BLM. And, well, they used to have the MS-13. They're gone, taken care of. Now they have others, right? But that doesn't mean do that or even fight them. We've got the military for that. Participate as a digital warrior. That's what I'm trying to do here, ladies and gentlemen. That's what stirred up in my, I'm not going to say it, stirred up in my heart and mind to bring this over 2 years ago. We're going on 3 years now. To the public, those who want to listen, right? So that's why I call myself a digital warrior, right? We the people have been betrayed for a very long time. Again, this is drop 4641 of the 17th letter. Will you stand? These are in capitals. I'm talking to you, Americans. For God and country, for freedom, for humanity, where we go one, we go all. 17th letter. Drop 4,407. Only at the precipice, in brackets, moment of destruction, will people find the will to change. Here's where I'm going with this, ladies and gents. Barry says, I advise you take up arms, but don't burn down stuff. Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Now, what I would say to that is, you protect your home. You protect your family. That's why God gave us the Second Amendment. Government didn't give us Second Amendment. Up Chuck Schumer didn't give us the Second Amendment. Why would we ever let him limit it? Now, what I'm going with this 17th letter, counterinsurgency, is this. We are going to see what is, and this is in other drops, we are going to see what's called a scare event. Meaning the sheeple, the people who watch TV, the people who read newspapers, Newsweek, Time, all that rubbish. those people are going to go through a scare event that will shake them to their core. The N word is going to be used. Don't let it scare you. If you have faith in God, exercise that faith in God. Pray for your nation. Pray for your family. Pray for yourself. Not that we'll be spared the danger. We know we will win. The danger is part of being alive. Let's not ask to, this is me, be spared the danger. Let's ask that God will spare his hand of judgment over our nation, because we've allowed this crap to go on for generations. How many babies are killed prior to even coming out and having a chance to be a patriot? Do you think that might be part of the plan of the evil ones? You think maybe? So when they are only at the precipice, the moment of destruction, will people find the will to change? Ladies and gentlemen, we all have people in our family that we're not going to win over at a barbecue. We're not going to win them over at Thanksgiving dinner. It's not going to happen. But if they think their very way of life, their very family, their children, their grandchildren are about to be annihilated in some crazy international conflagration, if they truly believe that, and it's brought to them in every avenue and channel of communication that they hold dear, they might just change. They might be brought to the precipice at which their worldview will break because it has no foundation. Building a worldview, building a paradigm on the utterings of tenured professors is not sustainable. They will not be in your home defending you and your family. They will not even defend your right to hold your own opinion. In fact, they have chipped away at that right for generations. They have not taught you or your children how to think. They have taught you and your children, if you went to institutions of so-called higher learning, what to think. In fact, they've limited it so severely that you might get 4 chances, 3 of which are wrong, on a stinking test, and they will not give you the ability to think about what your answer will be. They will only accept regurgitated, pre-approved, not by you, answers. Who pre-approves these answers? They're masters. They're, the people that fund them, the people that allow them to carry this on from generation to generation. Okay? Yuri Bezmenov, early 80s, Soviet defector. Watch the video, watch the interview. He came from communism. He's telling you what happened in our country in the 50s, 60s to today. And this was in 1982 or 4 or whatever. Now, I want to go into something real quick. I know we're nearing the end. You guys want sauce on this? You want, me to send you links, send you ways in which, I came to the conclusions I've come to. Question me. Don't ever believe me without questioning me, please. I'm not the burning bush. I want to go into one more thing. This woman is definitely an operative. This woman is a human being, a child of God, respected as a human being. I do not hate her. I hate her ideology because it is evil. I do not hate her. I do not respect her ideas. I do respect her. She's a child of God. Please know that. We come in all colors, shapes, and sizes. We are all children of God. If God values us as very highly as he does, who am I to lessen that value? No one. In the realm of ideas, and believe me, the communists do not want to discern or discriminate between the realm of humanity and the realm of ideas. In the realm of ideas, it is a narrative warfare, okay? It is truly a warfare of concepts. Now, this Joy Reid went on to one of her friendly, meaning networks, and she says, conservative people, her declared enemy, actually want to go back to 20th century values, pre-20th century values. And what are these values that, according to her, these evil people want? First of all, they don't want to pay income tax. Could you imagine? These evil people, they don't want to pay income tax. Can you believe that, Barry? They don't want to pay income tax. They don't want to give their money away. Who the hell are these people? They're Americans. They want to keep all their money, says Joy Reid. This will undercut, the social safety nets. Oh, really, Joy? Really? How about the people that are barely making it, working their asses off, 2-3 jobs, and they're supporting the one on mom's couch, dad's couch? They're supporting the one that is marching through the streets with a brand new gas mask somebody bought him, and they're Molotov cocktailing the business of Uncle Tom's, Uncle Al's, Uncle Louie's, Uncle Gus's hardware store, the barbershop down the way. Oh, yeah, you know what? That looks like a good target. Boom, firebombed. Are they the ones that we're supposed to save with those safety nets? Ladies and gentlemen, these people are not only out there, they're on mainstream news telling you who they are. That you're the enemy because you don't want to pay income taxes that are now up to 30, 40% on your income, depending on what, you've done with yourself and how much money you've earned. Taxation is theft. The biggest thief in America is the Federal Reserve and the owners of the Federal Reserve. They steal without even us noticing, and they do it through inflation and a fiat system that has money backed on nothing that they continually print incessantly. I am, repeating myself, redundant. However, this is what I want to tell you as we sign off pretty soon. The Federal Reserve has its Gestapo wing. It's called the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, meaning they steal from the internal citizens of the United States. Donald Trump, the one that we elected in a landslide, gave a mandate to change things here in our government, wants to start an external revenue service. What does that mean? It means that since we've been ripped off for generations by other countries, okay, and our politicians who allowed it to happen, and we the people, okay, because we haven't exactly been engaged watching movies, playing video games, and doing stupid things. Not all of us, but yeah, a lot of us. We've allowed this, okay? What Donald Trump is proposing is that we have an external revenue service, that we fill our treasury, not the privately owned Federal Reserve, but we the people treasury, the Treasury Department. We fill that with real money. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, all the things that we might need to back a currency. A treasury note, not a Federal Reserve note. That's private. That's an institution, private institution. It's not federal and it has no reserves. So as we go into these crazy times, we've already been in them. It's going to get high pitched, ladies and gentlemen. Don't lose your nerve, please. It's going to get high pitched, but we're going to win in the end, just like God told us. We're going to win in the end. As we go through this, please discern for yourselves what it is that you are going to stand for and who it is you will stand with. My recommendation, and who am I? My recommendation is start with God. Always start with God, because he's truly the one who wants the best for you. I tell my kids all the time, you might have friends, you might have people around you, you might have this, that, or the other, but there's really two human beings that really mean the best for you. They want the best for you. Those are your parents. So whatever your friends tell you in school or whatever, just remember, they might not be the people that want the best for you. Avail yourself of the advice and counsel from the two people who care for you most. And of course, from God, who's written a book for you. His prophets have died for you. But most of all, his son died for you. And on that note, what currency are we going to use, says Barry? I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a treasury note. And wow, wouldn't this be something, Barry? The communists have us shut down for months, perhaps. They want to go into years. And then out from nowhere comes a legitimate currency, monetary instrument called a treasury note. Could you imagine that, Barry? The Federal Reserve is sidestepped, kicked to the curb like a soy boy. Could you imagine that? Would that be awesome? I'm just throwing stuff out here. Ladies and gentlemen, may God be your King, Savior, and guide. He wants to be. Are you going to let him drive? That's my question. You have the answer. I don't have all the answers. Again, I'm not the burning bush. But I care about you, and you can contact me at bitcoinotter@secure.com, SEKUR.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. Thank you for who it is you are and what it is you do. And even if you're not an American, be a patriot in your country. I have family in Mexico. Viva Mexico. Viva Mexico. Que ustedes también tienen conciencia en sus corazones y mentes para estar en contra de los globalistas que quieren controlar hasta México también. Gracias por ver, pensar y andar bien bajo de Dios. En el nombre de Cristo, adiós. Good night and goodbye, everybody. I love you. Otter's out.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show
Oh my God, I love you so much.
on